There we go. Okay, so co-presenter number one, both co-presenters we've performed together for years in New York Jazz Flutet and our flute party band, the most recent thing. Mrs. Dottie Anita Taylor is one of the most accomplished people I know. She is not only an accomplished, starting from age three and a half, accomplished pianist, both in classical and improvisational music, but also an accomplished flutist in both genres. She is a composer, an arranger, a vocalist, an award-winning poet and photographer, and has over 175 compositions and arrangements, and past president of the International Women in Jazz Organization. On the flip side, she also has maintained a career as a math teacher in the New York City Board of Education for three decades. Welcome, Dottie. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Chip. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be part of this presentation. Joining Chip and I is a gentleman who for many years took on not one, not two, but three simultaneous careers. He served as production sound engineer in film and broadcast production. He was an adjunct professor teaching film and broadcast production. In addition, he was an active musician in the New York City area. I introduce to you the amazing Gene Coleman.
Thank you, Donnie, for that kind introduction. And Chip, also, thank you for having me join this panel. So, Chip, as viewers look over the book's table of contents that you'll bring up shortly, can you please explain for us the purpose of the book?
Yes, the purpose of the book is twofold. Firstly, to provide the mentorship that I wish I had had, and many of the others who've traversed this road less travel, and to help the reader who has an interest in balancing out their first love and calling with a carefully chosen one or two very supportive careers, to give you some mentorship in making this possible. The second purpose of the book has to do with providing you with principle-based how-tos in the form of 13 principles to consider utilizing in your pursuit, and the how-tos related to that, as well as 13 areas of life to strategically plan on an ongoing basis, I should say. So that's the purpose of the book: mentorship and how-tos that are principles based and strategic planning based.
So, Chip, would you also tell us a bit more about the two terms that are highlighted in the book? First is Plan B, spelled B-E, and the other, lifestyle of choice. Can you tell us more about those?
Sure. Plan B, single letter B, has, that's been tossed around for decades, and it implies that there's a plan A, which usually consists of going full speed ahead on what you intend and love. And unfortunately, at many junctures, at some junctures, a plan A results in taking on a form of supporting oneself financially, and that can be kind of rewarding and pulling away from what you're unrewarding and pulling away from what you would prefer to be doing. But when you have to resort to making ends meet any way you can, then you take on a plan B, single letter B. What we talk about here is a plan B, spelled B-E, which is more strategic in developing one's total beingness. And it really is a either or approach to career plan. I'm sorry, a both and approach to career planning versus the standard either or approach. And it enhances it when you embrace this pathway. You're able to fortify your ability to enjoy excellence in both your careers, or all three in Gene's case, and to be growing towards a lifestyle of choice, which we define in the book as an important component of self-expression, whereby one proactively plans for where and how one lives. So, in a nutshell, it boils down to five steps that aren't necessarily easy, but they are worthwhile and really self-supporting in being totally, I would say, gratified in your pursuit. Step one is to honor your calling and your love and commit that it is an important ingredient in your happiness and fulfillment in life. Step two is to identify innate abilities, things that you're good at in addition to your calling. We all have some other things. In my case, it was, I was good in science and I was always tinkering with my hands. Step three, research professions that align with those other things that you're good at. Things that you could use your interest in that profession. Step three, I should say. Oh, no. Step four is within that group of professions that are compatible with your innate abilities, cherry pick some that will allow you work schedule flexibility to as much degree as possible. This is a key point. If it's a 10-hour day, 5-6 days a week, that doesn't work for balancing other careers. But once you have done that searching, then you have set yourself up to go full speed ahead in pursuing training, certification, and education in both or all three of your chosen ways to have a lifestyle of choice and sustain your passion for as long as you choose to. So that's basically, did I answer your question, Dottie? Or Jean? Who asked that question?
Oh, Dottie answered the question.
Yes,
You
I
answered
did.
it for
I
me.
asked the question. Yes, it does. No, that was a good explanation. It makes it quite clear.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So temporarily, I'm going to stop the screen share. And did I cut myself out of the program here? Oh, there I am. Okay. I have a couple of questions for our presenters, co-presenters. And could you please share with the viewers what your journey along this road less traveled of having more than one career has been towards having your lifestyle of choice? Can you lead us off, Dottie?
Certainly I can. So the lifestyle that I had was indeed very interesting. It was an interesting experience. You see, due to the nature of my two careers, they worked together pretty well. My music-related activities like rehearsals, private teaching, concerts, and even composing would generally happen after 3 o'clock or on the weekends when teaching activities were completed. In addition, free preparation period on prep for math classes, or even a project that I might be involved in music. So it was kind of my choice. There came a point when something very interesting happened to me. During a conversation with one of my colleagues, she became aware of the fact that I was a musician, after which she engaged me as an accompanist for her string ensemble performances. This was followed by my principal asking me to form a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade chorus, which was a dream that my principal had for quite some time. So my two careers were now meshed into one. I was given a room with a piano, and it also had two small practice rooms in it. And I had still had math classes. I usually would have 3 music classes and uh, two math classes. So that's why I call this, it was the height of my career. So being involved in math and music worked for me. I was able to fulfill my dreams. And audience, you can too.
Thank you, Dahlia. That's
That's
awesome.
my
Gene,
story.
what's your journey been?
Well, to tell you the truth, at first I had no plan B. Plan B sort of came to me. And what I mean by that is I was fortunate enough to be presented with opportunities that, when contrasted with my then present situation of no finances, I quickly saw the possibilities of having a plan B. And it turned out to be a good choice. Once having an active plan B, going farther along in the timeline, plan C developed, which resulted in 3 simultaneous careers. Plan A, a working musician. Plan B, film production as a music and sound effects editor. And Plan C, an adjunct professor teaching sound, film, and broadcast productions. So, Chip, I noticed that you mentioned this is a principle-based how-to book. Principle 1 is showing how it is the one you find yourself using the most. So could you explain that?
Yes, can you hear me? I think I may have pressed the wrong button.
No, I can hear you.
You can hear me. Well, somehow I can't see where we are. Oh, I think I know why. Okay, so you asked about principle 1. Is that correct?
That is correct. Principle 1.
Okay.
And wanting to know, is it the one you find yourself using the most?
Yes, it is. And that's because as a child, and, we've all heard the term business before pleasure, or at least, it's pretty common usage. But as a child, my mom would say, Chip, did you clean your room and wash the dishes? Because if you want to go out and play with your friends, you have to do your chores. Business before pleasure, young man. And I heard it so often that, and I'm so happy I did, that it kind of it worked its way into my fabric of how I went about life. And it's a principle that one, when embraced, I'm sure we all do it at some levels, but when you deepen the use of this principle, you'll find using it daily many times in how to best make your next move in terms of your energy, all your resources. What is the best thing next to do that is totally supportive of everything you have strategically planned to be accomplishing. So, for example, when I was practicing orthodontics, teaching orthodontics very, very part-time, and having an active music career, since the orthodontics was a higher earner, it oftentimes took the business side of the equation, and the music was the pleasure side of the equation. And it happened since my orthodontic schedule was 3 days a week. My music happened in the evenings and on the long weekends. And then there would come times when there was a tour or a recording or a jazz festival where the coin flipped and the music was the priority, and my energy and resources were prioritized in the music direction. And the orthodontics, being an earner, was on the pleasure side. And also I was very suited for orthodontics in terms of my basic aptitudes. So the coin flips as appropriate. And when the music was in the business side, some undones might accumulate on the orthodontic side, but nothing that would kill the business. And, we would always, just get through it. And the payoff was that I was experiencing growth in both careers. And that was the overall plan. What else can I tell you? So just lean on the experience in all 13 principles. We lay it out where we give you the concept and explain it. We show you what to expect if you neglect this principle, and then we show you the payoffs of incorporating each of the principles, and help you to avoid the whole process of improvising your way through this 2 or more career situation, like I had to do, and Dottie and Jean had to do. This will make it more accessible for you. So that's principle 1.
Well, at this point, I'd like to announce that we're going to be answering questions in a little while. So those of you who are there, if you'd like to enter some questions or comments in the chat box, we will get to as many of them as we can in a little while. So, Chip, you have a principle 13 that's showing it involves strategic planning. Can you please expand on how that process is systematized in the book?
Yes, thank you, Dottie. We jumped from 1 to 13 because the 13 principles are a set of self-advancement sandwich, so to speak. 1 and 13 are huge, and the other ones are very, very integral to the process as well. But time being as it is, we'll jump to 13. Strategic planning, 13 areas of one's life, is a very, very useful growth process to go through. And when I was in the 80s, I had a wall-mounted board that it would open up, and I had these 13 areas that I was working on, and I would use a marker, erasable marker, and I would make notes, and I would change my goals periodically. I would set timelines. If I met them, that was great, and then I'd set a new goal. If I didn't make it, I set a new timeline, etc. And it's nowadays we can do it via spreadsheet. We can do it right on our tablet or computer, or we can we can print it out and have it in sheet fashion. This version didn't make it to the book. What we see in the book is the old version, my wall-mounted thing. But I'd be happy to share the what we call strategic planning template with the viewers just by writing me at chip@chipshelton.com. And I think we are also, I can put it up on my presenter page. Is that right, Kathy? Yes. So uh, just to run through the areas of life that we can really zero in on and strategically plan, and career and financial are obvious. But then what about our spiritual being? What are we doing in addition to our calling in music to expand our spiritualness, our beingness inwardly? What about our physical life? What are we doing to maintain good life form, good body weight, and health, and whatever other things fall under that category? Mental, our thought processes. We can actually think a little differently when we start to set goals about our mental processes. Our living space, this is major, especially in large cities like New York City. And it ties into what we mentioned earlier, where we have a lifestyle of choice, where we strategically plan for how and where we plan to live. And then there's family. Are we going to have a family? And what about our existing family? You know, relationships and family go hand in hand. And then there are what we like to do, what we like to be, what we like to have. What about our feelings? Do we want to smile more? Do we want to, just millions of things we want to feel differently about. And then there's miscellaneous. What did I put there? I put things like I want to give to the homeless or the underprivileged as much as I can and as often as I can. So you set these time frame goals when feasible. If you don't have time frames, that's fine. We put down some goals and we make adjustments as needed, and we remind ourselves to review our strategic planning template on a regular basis, ideally at least once a week. And it's best if it's a personal project which we are working on individually versus consulting with others at many junctures, because that can kind of pull it away from being you, you working on yourself to working on what they think you should work on. And a little bit of that input is great, but it can take over if overdone. That's strategic planning overview, and it is has been key in my progression. Let's see, what's next? Help me out, Dottie. What's next here? Is this what's next? Do I have you muted?
Well, actually, we have some questions that possibly we can answer.
Oh, okay. You saw some things in chat?
Yes. Yeah. There's
Oh,
first question from Deidre. I'll let someone answer this. During this time, where we all feel the fragility of our lives acutely, how do each of you plan, taking into account an uncertain future? From Deidre. Chip or Dottie, would you care to answer that?
Dottie, why don't you lead us off with an answer on that? Are you muted? Can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I'll say from the beginning, like March of 2020, I thought of the immediate as well as the long distance future. Mainly because it was just such an adjustment to go from busy life to absolutely nothing. And so in order to exist with some degree of sanity, I decided I needed to kind of make a plan for myself. And what my plan was, I marked this time as a time period to do the very things I haven't had the time to put much energy into. And I've held on to that thought through this past year. And I will continue with it. For instance, there are books I want to write, and there's music that I want to write and prepare for. And so, not knowing what the future is, these things will keep me going and will keep me away from the thought of there's no gig for next week, there's no gig for the summer, and so on. So, uh, I'm trying to make a plan for the what to do in the no matter how long it lasts, that I always have something that I can put my energy into, which will keep me from becoming depressed or whatever, because I don't have the things I used to have. So
Yes, and
I've
if I may,
created a new
I'm sorry.
world for myself. Yeah, sure.
I'm
I'm
sorry to
finished. Go
interrupt.
ahead, Chip.
Were you, why don't you complete your thought?
No, I did. I was just saying that that's what keeps me going during these times. Not to say that I don't have moments when I start to dip, but I've always had the ability to pick myself up and
Yes,
Also,
and oh, see
yeah.
your sound cut out there. I thought you were finished. Okay,
No, this is Gene talking now.
yeah.
Also, Dottie, you have another question related to you, Dottie, from Kathy. It says, Dottie probably has the most experience in real world teaching. Should guidance teachers be teaching these principles and getting kids to think about these things early? Just a thought.
so I would say yes. I during my teaching career, I taught mainly on the intermediate school for half my career on the intermediate school level, and then for the other half, actually grades 1 through 9, doing tutoring. But I always tried, especially when I was within intermediate school, always tried to work with the guidance counselors to help those children who were not finding their way in an educational setting. And so I feel that the guidance teachers are very important, especially for that. I guess I'd say at any level, but especially like in those middle years, the sixth, seventh, and eighth grades, when they think they're all in everything. They're really not all in everything, and they need lots of help, even though they don't think they do. And so I think that's an important role that the guidance counselors should do in conjunction with the teacher, because when you work together, which is like an experience I had, that I worked closely with the guidance counselor to help the children. And when you take care of this, then that clears their path for whatever class they go into. Because when they go into a classroom and they're not mentally set to learn because of all the things that they're not prepared for, then it's like, in a sense, worthless. It not totally worthless, but it helps them to be able to be grounded and to know, to have principles to work by, on their level. So yes, I think it's good to work with the kids at an early stage, even the little ones, There are ways that you can do that to get to them, to make them feel comfortable and to develop that confidence that many of them don't have. You know. So yes, I think that.
And similarly to the first question you answered, Dottie, during this COVID period, I've found myself doing some things that have been on my to-do list for a long time. To fill the gap of all the inactivity. My son, for years has been, when he came out of grad school, he worked for a period of time in the orthodontic office, and he's been saying, you need to write a book to show people how you juggle this stuff. I've seen you do all these years, and he just kept at me. So during this period, with his help and his creative writing master holder sister's help, and my wife, who also is a librarian and has published, with their prodding, help, we actually completed this book, and I was really more into the music that went along with the book, but you know, I never saw myself as a novelist or book writer, but I'm glad we did it, and you know, it worked perfectly with the time frame that we were forced into due to COVID. But the 13 songs that are featured, I think it's 13, on the co-themed music side, that release, which came out mid-year last year, is called Plan B Dream Music, and it fits hand in glove as inspiration for the reader. There's songs, we played one at the beginning called Plan Your Dream. There's another song called Business Before Pleasure, and on and on. So that's yes, that's how I've been handling this unpredictable segment of my life where everything came to a standstill. Any other questions in the chat?
Yeah, Chip, this is
Yes.
directed to you for a viewer that's come in late. She wants to know, is your book available?
Yes, it is. It's published through via Amazon, and there one can, if you go to Chip Shelton Plan Excel in Two Careers, Excel in Two Careers, you can actually read some portions of the book, some excerpts, and get a sense of it. You can purchase it either hard copy or digital, but you get a better deal at chipshelton.com on the store page, because there you'll get the discounted version of the book and the music as a package, and it's an autograph copy of the book. And you'll get to see some of the other things that are available on the previous 10 releases, and Chip Shelton merchandise, and I think we even have some Flute Party Band merchandise there. But I think that, did I answer that question, Gene?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Oh, great.
So it
And
doesn't look like we have any more questions as
Oh,
now in the chat. But if anybody has like an online question,
but but Jean, you missed the nice thing that Barbara said. She wants to give it to her students who are graduating.
yeah, that's right. I missed that, but
Yeah, that's the nicest part of it.
Barbara, that's my dream come true, is that this can actually support some of the people whose light bulbs didn't go on yet, but they're kind of thinking this way. And if they see that, oh, here's other people profiled who have been very successful in balancing two or more careers, that's my motivating factor in writing the book, Barbara. So we always, myself, Dottie, and Jean, when we do these type of workshops, we always incorporate some performance into the workshop. So live performance on Zoom doesn't work too well, but we want to share with you a short video featuring our one of our two collaborations. The New York Jazz Flutet is one, but this one is our latest thing, which is the Flute Party Band playing the song Plan B, spelled B-E. I think we have Dottie on flute and piccolo, Gene is on bass flute, and I'm walking around with a sub-contrabass flute. I'll play that if we have no further questions. Should I play it?
not yet. I just wanted to also maybe give a closing statement, and we can use the Plan B music,
Good idea.
walkout music.
Good idea.
So my closing statement, it'd be to like people who may not have a Plan B, or younger people, in terms of their thoughts. I have a suggestion that hopefully could move you closer to success. Be open to how your interest in playing in music can lead to new experiences. And that's the way I actually came to Plan B, because those opportunities presented itself. And I guess I was astute enough to take advantage of them. And also seek out opportunities with a positive attitude. I always had this Zen type of approach to things, no negativity, even though I saw like, negativity in front of me, it presented as obstacles. I sort of like, stayed on course there. How about you, Dottie? You have to unmute yourself.
Unmute.
Okay. First, I'd like to say it's been a pleasure sharing with you this afternoon. And I'd like to say that on our journey here on Earth, we really have the opportunity to create the life of our dreams. I balance 2 careers successfully. You can too. You have heard how it is possible. You have also been given the information which can help you to create that life for yourself. So my recommendation is take the plunge. Take on the careers of your dreams. Be sure to balance them and allow yourself to experience a life that will bring you satisfaction and joy. Thank you for being here with us today.
Well done, Dottie and Jean. I would just close by saying that 13 just became a lucky number. The use of the 13 principles and how-tos and applying 13 areas of your life strategically planned are a roadmap to success in balancing 2 or more careers. And now let's play that song called Plan B, spelled B-E, featuring Dottie, Jean, and myself, and our flute party band. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Dottie. Thank you,
My
Kathy.
My pleasure indeed.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad I got to be here and hear all of this. You know, I have students in high school who are trying to figure out, well, I really want to do music, but I'm afraid I won't be able to make a career out of it. But to be able to say to them, you can combine music with whatever your chosen other career might be. It doesn't mean that you have to cut it out of your life. And I just always hope that when they go off to college, they'll be able to participate in music somehow. I mean, to me, to keep music a part of your life, no matter what other things you might find yourself getting into, it's like there'll be many forks in the road and take them all. You know, just like, who was it? Yogi Berra used to say, if you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Take it.
Yeah. So this was really, really wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you, for this wonderful presentation. And thank you for ending on time, because we have to clear the room in just a few seconds to make time for the next event to take place.
Our pleasure, really.
Our
Yes.
pleasure. Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.